What's up guys, TSJAwesome 628 here, back again with another F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, this time for the USA Grand Prix. So, we're just going to get into sorting out our activity timeline. We have an invitational event on the 16th, so that's like halfway through our time. We decided to go for a chassis equipment upgrade, and then we decide to also go for a couple of other events. So we go for the sponsor advertisement drivers, and then we go for the chassis team building. So quite a lot of work on the chassis being done. But if you fast forward, we basically stopped development for this season. There is obviously the aerodynamics is the only thing we're still developing. There aren't really many upgrades to the aerodynamics that we can do.
We had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for this weekend has failed.
Yeah.
Check your R&D screen to order any redevelopments.
So our aerodynamic upgrade did fail for this week, but it's going to be all dry qualifying on the race. Always cloudy and sunny. Doesn't change at any point. So, as we're not really doing any development, these are easier. As you probably saw earlier, we did complete an invitation event. We're going to repurchase the aero upgrade. We're probably going to try and get the other aero upgrade on as well at some point when that one finishes. And then that'll probably be it for the development of the season, because we've now finished our adaptation of parts as well, so we're in a good position for next season. As we head into qualifying, we won slightly wide at turn 1, but that shouldn't have too much of an impact as it is Q1, and since obviously the latest performance patch came in, it shouldn't be hard to get out of Q1 because the Haas, Alfa Romeo and Williams cars are just so far behind the rest, and you're going to see it here. We're P8 and P10 in the TSJAwesome cars, but let's just scroll further down. They were the quickest car, which was Kevin Magnussen was 4 tenths off making it out. So there wasn't really a need to go out again, pretty much for any of the drivers in the top 16. They were never really in danger. But we're going to head on to Q2 as they're showing some signs that Jack Aitken may have some pace. The Ferraris seem quicker than they should be on the session. Bottas topped the session. Nothing much more to say. On to Q2 now. Going for the softs again. This is one of those races where you can do either the 2-stop or the 1-stop, and we ran slightly wide at the final corner, but we still managed to go P1 at the time. But as we fast forwarded towards the end of the session, it was P5. Jack Aitken sadly got knocked out in P12, so he will not be taking part in the final session of qualifying. And the other people that join him are the 2 Alpha Tauris, Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. So in Q3 are both Mercedes, both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, me, Sainz, Ricciardo and Perez. Does seem pretty close though, except for the Mercedes. Anyone downwards is always pretty close now. A bit like real life. I think it's a good patch and performance. And as we're in Q2, in Q3 now, we finish our first lap. We go P1 for now with a 29th flat. Would have hoped to make it into the 28th, but I think we can do that on the second lap. So we're still in P1. As we start our second lap, and we are going to hope to gain a bit of time because we gain 3 tenths. We're currently in P2 actually because Hamilton managed to improve, but we do improve further and we retake pole position for the USA Grand Prix.
ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Thomas, Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So we took pole position. Hamilton was P2 and Bottas really struggled, only was P5, when he should be clearly trying to challenge Hamilton. Obviously, he is probably going to be the world champion this year, so he probably doesn't mind that he's struggling in this race. But Perez, for a very quick racing point on the performance chart, is still only in P10. And Albon only took P9 in the other Red Bull, where Verstappen was in P4. Charles Leclerc had a really good qualifying in P3.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Thomas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Bottas, Sebastian Vettel, and Sainz, Albon, Perez, Norris, and Jack Aitken, Ocon, Stroll, Max Verstappen and Magnussen, Grosjean, Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi, Russell, Latifi, Gasly, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Daniel Kvyat completes the grid.
So it looks like it's going to be a one stop here that we're going to go for. And now I'm looking back, obviously in hindsight I should have gone for the two stop, but the one stop was supposed to be the quicker strategy. With our tyre wear, a two stop probably would have been better, but we are going to start the race and we're going to try and lead from pole position into turn one. We're getting alright starts, but Hamilton also gets a decent start, and we're going to hold the position to turn one, run slightly deep just in case someone was going to go for a dive bomb. Bottas has already got up into P4. Actually, I'm not sure if Verstappen had a penalty or something. I don't know. But we're gonna try and just pull away with Hamilton, who's already going to try and overtake us, because I believe we're definitely quicker than Leclerc. Not sure whether we're quicker than Bottas in the race, but while Bottas is stuck behind Leclerc, we're going to need to try and pull away. So hopefully that means less battling, but we do manage to defend successfully from Hamilton. And now over the next few laps we're just going to try and pull away from Leclerc together, because I don't think I'm going to have outright pace over Hamilton in this race. I just don't think that's the thing. We were too close to the match in qualifying for me to assume that we're going to have outright pace over him. But at the end of lap 2 we do set a fastest lap at 1:33.6, and we are indeed pulling away from Charles Leclerc in P3. The gap's now 1.8 seconds as we head to the end of lap 3. And we're massively pulling away from Sebastian Vettel, who's 5.7 seconds behind and holding up a massive train from P5 downwards. And the gap to Bottas is now 2.6, as he did manage to just overtake Leclerc on that lap. So now he's going to try and probably close this gap while we further extend the gap on the two Ferraris, who I feel were a bit highly placed in qualifying and probably aren't as quick in this race. So we're just going to try and pull away with Hamilton, who is close enough to go for a move this time, and he is going to try and go up the inside, but there wasn't really anything in that, and we managed to cover the position. He didn't have enough to get past us. Bottas is slowly closing down the gap, and our tyres are starting to wear. And I probably should have come in this lap for mediums and gone on the two stop. But we're supposed to go 2 laps longer and go on hards instead till the end of the Grand Prix. And Hamilton is going to try and probably overtake us into turn 1 here, as he's pretty close. But he never really pulls out and tries to go down the inside a bit late, and we just go wide, get a better exit, better traction, and keep the position on that pace. If we can keep on doing that for the rest of the race, then that'll be good. because Bottas has now closed in on this train, and as has Charles Leclerc, as I'm really starting to wear my tyres. Hamilton again is going to go for a move, and this time it looks to have the position. We brake late, go around the outside, and keep the position. And with my tyre wear, I decided I was going to come into pits at the end of this lap, one lap earlier than I was originally supposed to. So we do that, and we take over the bollards, we knock it over, and we should come out in a decent position. I don't think Vettel in P5 is going to be a threat at any point in this Grand Prix. He's just too slow, as are the cars behind him. So we do come into the pits. I believe we're the only one in this lap, except for the people near the back that are going for the two-stop, such as Albon and Vettel. But I was meaning of the front runners, so our battle this race is with Hamilton, Bottas and Leclerc. So it's all about when they pit and what they do. At the end of lap 9 we caught up to Kevin Magnussen, but he's going to put into the pits. Doesn't really concern us in our race. We're going to get back into a reasonable position. Back up ahead of Leclerc and Hamilton. Bottas staying out for one more lap. And Jack Aitken is finally coming to the pits at the end of lap 9. Actually, end of lap 10 even. I thought that was the end of lap 9. But on the end of lap 11, we're going to go up the inside of Lance Stroll. But he managed to successfully defend against that. But we're going to go round the outside this time. And we managed to get the position on Lance Stroll, who's going to try and come back at us, but we defend and we keep on going. At the end of the lap, we are going to try and pull away because Lance Stroll is probably going to start holding up Hamilton, Bottas and Leclerc. Well, Leclerc has already started to draw back on us. And on lap 12, Stroll finally pits. We have pulled up a 3-second gap on Lewis Hamilton, which is what we're going to try and have to defend. And at the end of lap 13, Albon is now the car in P5, but he's on the two-stop, along with Jack Aitken and one other driver in that train, which I can't remember who was. At the end of lap 14, just trying to manage the gap to Hamilton, but he is closing in on us. It really isn't working. He's clearly quicker than us this Grand Prix. Our fastest laps have been taken away on lap 15, and that was taken away by Jack Aitken, who has got some great pace on the two-stop strategy. That's when I realised at this point that the two-stop was the quicker way. The fact that Jack Aitken was actually doing really well. He's right behind Alex Albon now, and is looking to overtake him. But on lap 17, we are still battling away. I think Lando Norris is the other car on the two-stop, just battling to keep the guy ahead. But there's a yellow flag, and it's just behind us, and it's the man in P4. Charles Leclerc is going to retire from this Grand Prix, as his Ferrari has given up on this race. He was looking set for a comfortable P4, maybe challenging more, but now the battle for the two-stop between Norris and Aitken, with Albon just having pitted, is going to be more Aitken obviously having the fastest lap, but struggling to get past Lando Norris. On the next lap, Norris is in, and Aitken now has P4 all to himself, but he's going to be coming in, I think, at the end of this lap onto the medium tyres, and we'll see what progress he can make towards the end of the race. As you can see, he is indeed coming to the pits. Carlos Sainz is now in P4 with Esteban Ocon in P5. Meanwhile, Hamilton has caught right up onto the back of us, and he's going to be looking to try and overtake us. At the end of lap 19, though, I believe both Mercedes cars made contact on that lap, because Bottas was just behind us, and he then dropped about 3 seconds behind, and now he's in the pits. I believe that's for a front wing change, because the two Mercedes collided, and now Bottas is out in P4, and Carlos Sainz is looking for a second podium of the year for McLaren. But Bottas on the soft tyres is already right behind him, and is looking to overtake Carlos Sainz, and he already has done. So Bottas should comfortably get P3, and he'll probably also get fastest lap as Hamilton tries to overtake us again on lap 22, but we defend successfully against him. So me and Hamilton are almost guaranteed P1 and P2 now in this race, but the real question is in which order will it be, as we run slightly wide through this section and our tyres are already giving up and Hamilton tries to go for a move there. That's not a place you should be trying to go for a move, but into one line corner, but we successfully defend. That could have been a very bad crash because Hamilton had just had so much more speed than me. As into turn 1, Hamilton decides to go to the outside for some reason when I'm already on the outside line. There was so much space on the inside, but he didn't want the inside line. And on lap 23, we're still ahead. Bottas has already smashed the fastest lap, taken it away from Jack Aitken, which is kind of sad. I wish Jack Aitken would have got the fastest lap points. Jack Aitken is still trying to battle his way through the field while we're defending against Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, we've lost the position. That's us down a place.
We keep it down the inside and successfully defend against him. He's going to try and come back at us, but this is starting to be quite a good battle between us. We're going side by side at many different opportunities, but we do run slightly right through the final corner again. But I think we're just enough ahead of Hamilton so that he won't be able to overtake us into turn 1 here. He may have a go, but he decides against it. But on this straight, he was just too quick. He breezes past us here, and we think, yes, we can go for the switchback here because he's going to go deep, but it doesn't quite work out. We don't quite get the traction because we make a slight bit of contact with him, and instead we have to settle for P2, and that's pretty much how the race ended because we weren't as quick as Hamilton, despite the fact we were in his DRS. We couldn't get close enough to try and re-challenge him, and on the end of lap 27 we were, at the end of lap 26 we're still in his DRS, but what I mean is on lap 27 we dropped out of his DRS, and Bottas is flying on those softs. That also made me realise that the 2-stop was much quicker today, because Bottas has got back to 10 seconds behind me, whereas he had front wing change as well and was already 3 seconds behind. So he has more than gained the pit stop time that he would have had there if it has just been a normal pit stop. Which means that Jack Aitken did make the right strategy call. Sadly, he couldn't get through the traffic as much, and it's going to finish, I think, P10. But we are going to come across the line to finish in P2, just behind Lewis Hamilton.
Good finish. You stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
Daniel Ricciardo getting driver of the day.
Once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. What effect this result has had on the driver's standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, Crofty, Daniel Ricciardo would have to be my driver of the day. It's less about what he did right, but how little he did wrong. Perfect driving.
The Constructors' Championship may be a foregone conclusion at the moment, but regardless, let's look at the standings. It's another clear win for Mercedes as they managed to secure the Constructors' title. An incredible performance for the whole team. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So Lewis Hamilton wins the race just ahead of us, and Bottas is in P3 but has a much quicker, faster lap than anyone else. Carlos Sainz takes home a very good P4 from McLaren, and the two Renaults are in P5 and P6. Then Jack Aitken was in P8 just behind Sergio Perez. He actually made 2 overtakes on Lance Stroll and Lando Norris on the final lap, which was pretty good. But before then, he had been struggling to get past them. If he had just got Perez, it would have been good, and probably the deserved position for him in P7. Alex Albon finished just outside the points, so no points for either Red Bull or Ferrari today, as Verstappen also struggles along with Vettel, which just shows how close it is this season, except for Mercedes. Pierre Gasly and AlphaTauri, and the Alfa Romeos, Haas's, AlphaTauris and Williams were just miles off this weekend, with Leclerc DNFing from this Grand Prix. Bottas leads the championship by 47 points, so to win the championship in Mexico he needs to outscore Hamilton by 6 points, which he could very well do, but we're still in P4. We've just overtaken Verstappen and Leclerc, but I was expecting to get P4 this season, and with Ferrari really struggling, I think we can challenge Sebastian Vettel for P3 in the upcoming races. Carlos Sainz overtakes Perez for P9, and Jack Aitken has made his way into the top half, well not top half, but the top portion of the table, when he's overtaken Kimi Raikkonen for P14. And with the speed of our car, I'm hoping Jack Aitken can get some more points between now and the end of the season, probably his final few races for the team. In the Constructors, we're pretty much guaranteed P4 now. I don't think there's really any way that Renault will overtake us. McLaren have now overtaken Racing Point, despite the fact that Racing Point got a massive buff in performance, so maybe their buff hasn't helped them as much. Yes, I am. Well, this track is all about aero with its S section, its final sector, so that must have helped some way. They are a great driver, but they don't have the correct car for their. Yeah, the chassis has really helped this season. It really helps us in the chicanes. Well, there is very buzz, but I actually don't think they have performed to what their car performance tells them. So we managed to beat Alex Albon in the rivalry. Now we've gone past the 30-point barrier, so we are now going to gain some acclaim for that. And there you see we gain it, and Jack Aitken's still level 7. Hopefully he can get to level 8 in the next couple of episodes. He's before the end of the season, but it won't matter because I'm confident that we're probably going to replace him at the end of the season. We gain quite a bit of cash. We're saving up now, probably for a new driver at the end of the season. So we're not going to be upgrading any facilities until we go for massive facility upgrades during the off season. But I think I'm going to leave the episode there. So I'll see you guys next time for the Mexico Grand Prix.